Hi guys, back with another video. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody is staying safe due to the current situation that we are in right now. So today I just wanted to pop in and talk about my real estate career a little bit more in detail. I guess just talk about where I got my leads and where my business came from. So let's get into the video. So I got my real estate license April of 2018, and in my first year of real estate, I did not close any transactions. Zero. Okay? Zero. No transactions at all. So I actually am in my second year of real estate. I got my first listing June of 2019 from a cold call. So it was from a just listed call, and I'll record me doing those type of calls in the future. But that was a cold call to a neighborhood that we had just listed a home for sale, and ended up talking to a seller who said she was thinking about selling herself. Set a listing appointment with her, and eventually getting my first listing. So she actually sold her home and bought another one. So she was a seller and a buyer. So two transactions that I closed with her September of 2019. My third deal came also from a cold call. Ended up talking to the son because the owner of that home was in the hospital. So the son had his dad's phone and was like, "Hey, I really like you. I don't know why. I'm talking to you, telling you all this. I'm actually a realtor myself out in California, blah, blah, blah." Long story short, ending up meeting up with them to buy a condo that ended up not going through, but they found another property that they were interested in purchasing and wrote an offer on that property. And that was my third transaction, was from that buyer. My fourth transaction was actually from a for sale by owner that I had met about a year ago, and initially met him for doing a preview. He actually lives in my neighborhood, and I saw the for sale sign up, made an appointment to go meet with him, and nothing came about it. And then a year later, he still had my contact information. He emailed me and said, "Hey, we're thinking about selling the townhouse. Are you interested?" I said, "Absolutely." Eventually meeting his daughter, because his daughter was actually the owner of the property. And that was my second listing that I got in November of 2019. And then ended up closing that one in January of this year. So that was my fourth transaction. So my fifth transaction actually came from another cold call that I made, that I was actually met her back in August, but we didn't end up putting her home on the market until November. So I was following up with her for about a good 4 months maybe. She finally decided to list her home with me, and she was actually selling her home to buy another one. So she was my seller and my buyer. So closed that one for her, both homes for her, January of this year. So that was six transactions so far. So then my seventh deal came from the repeat client that I told you about. That sorry, my dogs are being weird. Was the repeat client. I told you that made the offer on the condo. That didn't work out. Then he ended up buying another home. He actually had a home that he wanted to sell. So he hired me again to do that transaction for him. And that listing we put on the market January of this year, which I ended up closing that one last month in March. And now that takes us to my 8th transaction, which was a cold call as well. So that cold call came from the listing that I had sold last month. So that was a cold call as well. When I initially talked to her, she was actually going to list her home with another realtor. And so I backed off. When people are, have a realtor they already have in mind, they've been working with, I don't try to get the business anyway. I just feel like, whatever is meant for me is meant for me, and I don't have to fight other realtors for business. So she initially said she was working with someone else, and I said, okay, well, if you change your mind, you have my number. And I moved on, and she ended up calling me probably about a month or two later, and there was just some trust issues with the realtor, and she asked me if I can help her, and I said absolutely. So ended up getting that listing, and let's see, we put that listing on the market in last month, March, and 8 days later we got an accepted offer on it, and now that one's currently in escrow. So my second year overall, I closed 7 transactions, way better than my first year. So going into my 3rd year selling real estate, I'm hoping to double my production. And sorry, I gotta take a sip. I'm hoping to double my production, and I would be happy with 14 transactions closed in my 3rd year real estate, and be able to just double my production the following year. So this year I did set a goal for myself. I do want to close at least 18 transactions this year. I would be happy with 14 because that's double from last year, but my goal is to hit 18 transactions this year. So yes, so that's my how I got my business and my leads. The majority of my business comes from cold calls, you guys. I mean, I do have my SOI that I really need to kind of work a little bit more, but the majority of my business comes from cold calls. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.